Hey y'all, I'm Shauna. Welcome in or welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about a new project that's happening on the channel, my plastic beauty project. And that's just the working name. I'm not the best at naming things, so if you have a suggestion, love to hear it. And today we're going to be kicking off the project and be telling you what it's about, what I'll be doing, and why it all kind of came to be. And let's first talk about where this project came from, why it emerged, and then we'll talk about some of the project goals and aims. About 2-ish weeks ago, I made my year-end empties video. So for all of 2024, I hoarded all of my beauty empties, and then once the year finished, I laid it all out and took a look at all of the products I finished in one year. That video really showed me. It was like a kick in the pants, kind of, or more like a kick to the face of just how much plastic I consume. How much of my beauty products are plastic. At the time, it was the quantity that really struck me, and I have since calculated like what percentage of those items are plastic. More on that later. But my empties video really showed me my own complacency that, I've just been ignoring the problem and I've just kind of been checked out. I mentioned that in another video after the fact, just kind of tuning out the plastic problem and kind of treating it like white noise. I think a lot of us know that plastic is ubiquitous. Plastic is everywhere and it's almost unavoidable in many cases. It's not a new or novel observation. People have been talking about this for decades. In 2025, I finally decided that I'm going to really put in a concerted effort to reduce the amount of plastic that I consume, starting with beauty products. The main goal of this project is to have a continued dialogue about plastic on this channel and to keep it on the forefront of your mind and my mind without it being doom and gloom. Yes, we need to take action, and I have mentioned that there are videos forthcoming. They are forthcoming. This is just the first. Although these are just personal care products, and this is just one category and I'm just one person, I hope that by showing you this journey, because I'm not expecting some kind of linear process or just be like, yes, oh my God, it's so easy and everybody can do it all the time. I don't have an agenda of what I want it to look like. I just want to showcase my efforts to reduce my plastic consumption. And I hope by doing it, both you and I are reminded of the ubiquity of plastic, and then also just how easy or difficult it is to find alternative. And I really am hoping for this project to be a fuel for my own offline action, because listen, I'm a project person. I love a project. I live for a project, and project builds in accountability and consistency, depending on the project. This one has both. And so if I'm constantly having it front of mind, if I'm constantly reminded that plastic is everywhere, then I hope to use that as a fuel for my own action. And so the project component, because I thrive on them, helps me in my own goals. Like, it helps to prevent apathy or complacency. And so we can have a moment every few months to talk about it and to kind of talk about how it's going and showcase how it is going. And then the second component of it is to reduce my plastic consumption, and then also encourage you to do the same if it's something that you care about. It's more than just the personal action, and getting involved in our communities is essential as well. And I'm using this as a way to fuel that. So why do I care about plastic, and why should you care about plastic? The main reason why I care about plastic is the negative environmental effects of plastic that are exacerbated by its, I keep saying ubiquity, but I feel like that's the best word. Plastic has its little tentacles in every aspect of life. Plastic is perhaps not the best material and a problematic material, or even if a small percentage of things were to be made of plastic, but it's a problematic thing being made in large quantities. And when something is so embedded into society or culture, I'm thinking specifically about the North American context, it's really hard to disentangle it. And it's going to take a lot of effort to disentangle it. And one of the things that I've been learning about personally is the recycling component of it. And we hear a lot of rhetoric pushing recycling as the best tool for plastic. But my research has indicated to me that plastic recycling is not the future. And we can't fix the plastic problem with recycling. And around 79% of plastic has accumulated in landfills or the natural environment, and only about 9% of plastic has been recycled. Plastic can be difficult to recycle when it is recyclable, and a lot of products are not recyclable because they have multiple plastics together that are difficult to recycle because they're combined. But when things are recycled, things only tend to be recycled one time. And according to Greenpeace, no plastic, not even soda bottles, one of the most prolific items thrown into recycling bins, meets the threshold to be called recyclable according to the standards set by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation New Plastic Economy Initiative. Plastic must have a recycling rate of 30% to reach that standard, and no plastic ever has been recycled and reused close to that rate. 66% of plastics made are short-lived plastics, and the UN includes packaging from ice cream tubs to shampoo bottles as this kind of plastic. This includes most beauty products and is plastic packaging that is the biggest generator of plastic waste. Plastic infiltrates our oceans as well, and there are also the climate impacts of the processing of plastic and the extraction of fossil fuel, the manufacturing of all of these things as well. And then the trash component, because plastic does not biodegrade. It takes 1,000 years or up to 1,000 years for plastic to biodegrade, which means that it's basically garbage, and it's garbage that the industry has taught us to view as recyclable. And so many of us, myself included, see it as maybe like renewable or recyclable, has kind of added that more positive twist on it. Oh yeah, it can be recycled, when it is not in fact that way, and it is basically trash because it is not being recycled at the quantities that it could be, and it is ending up in landfills, and it can't biodegrade. And a lot of majority plastic, 66%, is short-used plastic parts or plastic items, short-lived items. The oil and gas industry lobbyists say they plan to recycle every piece of plastic they make into something new by 2040. In interviews with NPR, industry officials were unable to explain how they planned to reach a 100% recycling rate, most especially, or like not even 30%. NPR investigative report found in 2020 that industry officials misled the public about the recyclability of plastic, even though their own reports showed they knew as early as the 1970s and 80s that plastic could not be economically recycled. Plastic recycling is not viewed as the solution because of the current low rate of recycling, and that many facilities are not equipped to recycle plastics in the ways that are necessary. It's not economically viable to do so. And a lot of the plastic that ends up in oceans is because of the mismanagement of plastic as it exists. And I'm sure that the argument can be made of increasing these efforts or improving these efforts. But from my research, what it suggests is that the rates of production of plastic far outweigh or are so far above our capacities to recycle. It's not going to be the solution, even if that is the case. And so reducing the amount of plastic that's, societally that we consume is a part of almost any answer. So I want to talk about my own plastic consumption of the past year. I think the Empties data provides a really good snapshot at my own plastic consumption. In this project, we're going to focus on everything except for makeup. I hope to purchase more non-plastic makeup items, but I'm going to be focusing on the frequent flyers, the things that I use up in the greatest quantity or go through the fastest, which are the hair, skin, body type of things like shampoo and conditioner and face wash and body creams, deodorants, that kind of thing. So of those, I finished 57 items that correspond to those categories. One of the items was not pictured in the photo that's on the screen. It was a dry shampoo bottle, and I did finish the dry shampoo in it, but I kept the bottle. I also included lip balms in this total, which was more of a makeup category item because I had, previously viewed lip balm as like a makeup thing, but I've included it here because it is one of my most frequented purchases, and this kind of gets the makeup component involved a little bit. So of these items, the 57 items, the total amount that were not made of plastic were 9 items. 2 of the items mentioned are screw jars, and so the base is made of glass, but the caps of the screw jars are made of plastic. I have included them in the non-plastic items because the bulk of them are glass, and it is still a significant reduction in plastic. So this means that 15.7% of my beauty purchases, beauty usage, beauty items were not plastic. 15.7. And I would say that that is overall more of a happenstance than intentionality. When I was picking skincare items, I didn't go, hey, I'm going to buy this one instead of this one because it's glass instead of plastic. It was more happenstance. One of the byproducts of this project, I hope, is to make those choices more intentionally. So lip balms, which is one of my highest turnover items, there are 6 lip balms in there and only one of them was not plastic. For hair, which is another high turnover category, only 1 item. And I did actually look it up after because it was the Jonathan Van Ness hairline. And one of the categories that I was having a little bit of trouble with when researching was hairstyling products. A lot of hairstyling products like heat protectants or mousse or gels or things like that. So much of that is in plastic, and I have not really been able to find anything besides shampoo, conditioner, and dry shampoo with options that aren't plastic. I know they exist and I need to, continue researching, but JVN, his line was one of the first ones that had multiple options that I was finding, and I was like kind of excited about it. I was like, oh, I know this line is relatively accessible, and they are actively choosing not to use plastic or reduce their plastic, which was kind of awesome to see. Just a little side note. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about my Buyarchy, my hierarchy of how I'm going to vet products for this project. It is like a 5-part hierarchy, and it has come to being based on the knowledge I have now, but I hope that as I gain new knowledge, which I hope happens, I would expect, given new knowledge, for this to change. So this is how it's starting. So I imagine using this in the context of, I have a few options available of things to buy. How do I make that choice? It also doesn't mean that I have to choose the highest option, because the highest option is package free. So things that are not wrapped in packaging, I'm mainly conceiving this or mainly thinking this is going to be bars, like a soap bar or a shampoo bar. However, shampoo bars I feel about, and I hate conditioner bars. So with faced between the choice of a conditioner bar and something lower on the list, I probably would choose something lower on the list. If I have this hierarchy, I still can use that metric for assessment. Maybe there's other things, like maybe if I have a choice of facial cleansing options and there is a bar option, maybe I try that first. This is an example. So as I mentioned, the top of the list is package free. Second would be biodegradable packaging, because I do live in a neighborhood that has compost. So biodegrading things is accessible to me. Composting is accessible to me. So I have biodegradable as number 2, but number 2, 3, and 4 are, I think, highly subject to change as I gain more knowledge, because I'm not sure if something that is, let's say, highly recyclable would be a better option for packaging opposed to biodegradable, because resources were made for those things, for all of these things, and you are recycling one, which kind of makes it end of life. But then with items that can be recycled, they can be repurposed into something else. So I want to flesh out the details on that, as well as number 3. So number 3 is refillable packaging, and refillable packaging is number 3. And this is based on what I have access to and also what I have seen with refills. So I don't live near a refill store. My closest refill store would be about an hour away, nowhere that I go often. And so having like something in my neighborhood where I can go refill a moisturizer is not, or even dish soap or something, is not really in the cards. Majority of refills that I would buy would be shipped to me. And a lot of those refills are packaged in plastic. And so I felt that a biodegradable option would be better than a high volume plastic option, even if the refillable packaging is a lower amount of plastic than the traditional option. So let's say the moisturizer I wanted to buy came in a plastic bottle and the refill was 3 refills in a plastic container, which was overall less plastic than even one bottle. It's still plastic when there are non-plastic options. One company also tried to make the argument that the plastic refills that they were using for some of their containers, they use less CO2 in their production than glass or in like their recycling processes, which is why they use plastic instead of glass. I'm talking about this so I can illustrate where my own knowledge gaps are. So number 4 on the list are easy to recycle items, which are glass and aluminum, or maybe not easy to recycle, highly recyclable items. Glass and aluminum can be recycled many, many times. And I was reading that it's something like 73 or 74% of all the aluminum that is currently being used has been recycled. I've read that glass and aluminum, their processes for recycling are some of the more advanced out there because they're some of the, like, they're older than plastic. And so a lot of places have been doing those things the longest. So number 5 would be partial use of plastic items. So if for whatever reason I can't find 1, 2, 3, or 4, then something that, let's say, has a plastic lid, or maybe it's all glass except the pump, that would be option 5. So that's my Buyarchy, and I have partial use of plastic as the last option, and I hope to be able to eventually get to the place where I only buy things in 1 through 5. So now let's get to my project goals. And for this project, I hope to increase, the focus is increasing the percentage of plastic-free items. So I'm going to use what I have first and focus on using what I have and only buying things when I run out or need a replacement. So that's priority number 1, using what I have. And I don't want to go to buying plastic-free stuff until I run out, because in the past, I have gotten so excited about something or like a sustainability initiative that I went to go and buy things, which entirely defeats the point. So this is my reminder to myself that the focus is using what I have. Let's now talk about my actual, like, the numbers, what I hope to do. For hair care, my plastic percent was 11% of that category, and I hope to increase it to 50%. This is at 50% and not 75 or 100% for a couple of reasons. One is, baby steps, but also number 2 is that I think that some parts of this category are going to be easier than others. So shampoo and conditioner, I've already found options for. One brand that uses aluminum packaging and the other brand that uses biodegradable packaging. So I have options to try. Plus, if those don't work out, shampoo bars exist. I do hate conditioner bars. So I am really banking on one of those 2 to work or finding something else. It's the hairstyling of this that I am a bit more concerned about, because I have just seen fewer options overall that offer plastic-free hairstyling products like heat protectants, as I was talking about. And also to note that before I did my empties video, I did buy a conditioner, and that is all packaged in plastic. I am not able to return it, so I am stuck with it, and that already represents a purchase that I've made in 2025. So I'm setting this goal at 50%, and if I can shoot above that, wonderful. That's great. I'm not going to go out of my way to choose plastic products. Like I'm not going to artificially lower my numbers or be like, because I only have to be at 50%, I'll just go and buy a whole bunch of this kind of stuff. For body care, I would like to increase this from 0 to 80%. This is at 80 because this is one of the easiest categories to buy plastic free. There are tons of options available using where the item is packaged in aluminum or glass. Biodegradable packaging also exists. This would be things like body wash as well as body lotions. Body wash is one of the easiest categories of this to do. You can use a bar of soap, which some don't come packaged with anything, but if you were to even go to your drugstore, you could buy a box of Dove, which is paper. And then I've also found some biodegradable body wash items. Hand cream or body cream, as I mentioned, there are aluminum and glass options, and I have found multiple of this category to try. And this is not something that I buy all that often anyway. And at least one of my hand cream options was aluminum. And I think the ones I'm currently using are also aluminum. So this is overall an easier category. I think 80% is fair. And I also have not purchased anything in this category yet. And there's a chance that I may not need to purchase anything in this category in 2025. For skincare, I'd like to increase it from 17% to 50%. And this category, I think, is a bit of a mixed bag. Some options within it are going to be easier than others. I think for cleansers, there's going to be options. And then for some of the serums or like active ingredients, I already have options that are in glass or aluminum, so that's good. The subcategory in here that I worry about is sunscreen, because I personally have not seen a sunscreen other than, I think it's All Good that has their sunscreen in like the aluminum little containers. Everything else of sunscreen that is not aerosol is plastic. And I went researching the other day and I could not find a sunscreen that was not in plastic. That does not mean that they don't exist. And if you know of a sunscreen brand that you like that is not packaged in plastic, I would love to hear from you. I think out of all of the categories mentioned, this is the one I'm most nervous about because I found sunscreens that I love, but they use plastic. And I use the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. And a part of me was, I was more hoping than anything. I was more like, maybe it's aluminum or maybe it's something else. But I compared it to, I currently have tretinoin in my bathroom and that's an aluminum tube. And I felt one and I felt the other and I was like, no way, it's aluminum. And I reached out to the brand to confirm and they did confirm that their tubes are plastic, which is a downer. So I go through a ton of sunscreen. I went through 7 last year. I'm uncertain about how this one is going to go. The last thing to talk about is deodorant. And I am not including deodorant in this for one reason. I have yet to find a single deodorant brand that offers either reusable packaging or plastic-free packaging that is not aluminum-free. All of the brands that I have ever heard of and ever seen, and I was doing research over the past 2 weeks, that use cardboard packaging, compostable packaging, or refillable packaging, which could be aluminum or plastic. All of those brands are aluminum-free and are part of the natural deodorant kind of movement kind of thing. I hate those deodorants. I don't like them. I enjoy an antiperspirant, and the science behind avoiding aluminum is just not there. The science does not suggest that aluminum causes the harm that was, fear-mongered about a few years ago. So I don't want to use it. And I used enough brands for a long enough time. I did the natural deodorant thing for a good 2.5, if not a full 3 years. I tried multiple brands, multiple types. I tried Native. I tried Dove and Secret brand, aluminum free. I tried Routine. I tried Meow Meow Tweet. I tried Tom's of Maine. I tried Jason. I also tried, I can't remember the brand. Dang, there's one more. So I put in my dues. I tried it. I hated it. I don't like it. It's honestly kind of frustrating that the bulk of the people, if not the only people doing the plastic-free deodorant thing, are the natural brands. I really hope I'm wrong. I seriously hope that there are great brands out there that you can get antiperspirants from that also do the plastic-free thing. If you know any, hit me up. This would probably be, this and sunscreen are the two I am in most desperate search for. I kind of gave up on the deodorant thing a little bit. I'm like almost a little bit of a fuck it going on. But I was like, you know what? Now's the opportunity to take the break. Maybe in a few weeks or in a month, I'm not in any need of a deodorant. So I have time. We'll pick it back up when I'm not feeling so cynical. That's the video. Those are my goals. I would love to hear from you. Number 1, are you going to be doing this with me? Number 2, do you have favorite brands that are plastic free or favorite products of yours that are plastic free in the beauty category? I'd love to hear from you. I think this is a project that maybe if I want to keep it kind of consistent, maybe do like a quarterly update. I think that could be good. So maybe we do a little update at the beginning of April and we can talk then. Hey y'all, Editing Shauna here. We are in the middle of a snowstorm and I am editing the video back and I have some thoughts after doing the first round of edits. So we're here. One thing that struck me after finishing the video is that I think this project lends a lot of room for discussion about things as I learn them and not so much or exclusively let's have a talk once a month or like once a quarter after I've purchased some things. I think there can be discussions about things as I learn new information or as I'm going through the process of, let's say, choosing something, you know, to weigh out how somebody might make a choice, how I might make a choice, what are the actual options out there, and what might that reveal or illustrate about like the current systems, the current offerings, and how accessible purchasing these items might be. Because here's something that's come to mind. I have been searching for deodorants and lip balms. And if I happen to find a lip balm from like a brand that's all I want from them is a lip balm, or all I want for them is deodorant, does that really make a lot of sense to go buy a singular item, like a singular lip balm or a single deodorant, and let's say ship it from the UK or ship it from California? Buying a single aluminum tube of lip balm from California just seems kind of wild. You get what I'm saying? When let's say there's one that is all plastic. I don't know. Is that the better option if I could go buy it locally? And then also, how do you know? How do you figure out what the best option is? Like, how do I measure the impacts of the shipping versus the impacts of plastic? And also, am I thinking too rigidly about things? You get what I'm saying? Like, there are definitely costs that can and should be weighed out, and I would like to weigh them out because I'm, this is the project. I get to think about things, whether they're stupid or not. I think cost and accessibility are going to be two other points or two other conversations to have. And I can imagine that there are options available at many price ranges, but that most options are going to be available at higher price ranges. And I just overall think there is a discussion to be had. This is not the place at the time about that. The last thing to talk about is how will I know if the project is on the right track? And I think this is an interesting question to consider before I get to the end of the project, because it would suck to get to the end of the year and ask myself then, right? Like, if this project isn't serving me in some way, or it is serving me greatly, how would I know? And I don't think perfection or buying a certain number of plastic items or non-plastic items is necessarily the most important metric of success. How much I learned perhaps might matter more. What I learned, as well as, is this knowledge doing anything for me? Like, is it, let's say, actually backfiring? One thing I can imagine is it could backfire. I could feel so good about all the plastic I'm not consuming where I feel like I don't need to do more things and the project does not actually serve one of the aims that it was meant to serve, or perhaps it shows a lot of the frustrations and the problems with plastic packaging. So I don't want to just limit this to one update per quarter as I talk about what I buy. I think if there are discussions to be had, we have them. I'm going to throw it back to Video Shauna to end out the video. So thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I'd love it if you would subscribe to catch more content like this, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.